psychology facts about women human behavior, you are never told when it comes to conversations about intimacy, especially oral sex. It's often reduced to jokes, gossip, or whispered curiosity. It's treated as a taboo subject, something to laugh at or keep private. But behind the surface, there's a world of psychology that reveals much more than we usually acknowledge. It's not just a physical act. It's deeply layered with emotional, psychological, and even chemical meaning, the way people engage with oral sex. Whether comfortably, nervously, or not at all, can say a great deal about their inner world, self-opinion, and how they relate to their partner. You might assume oral sex is all about physical gratification, but the brain sees it differently. Research in human behavior and intimacy shows that acts like oral sex can activate powerful emotional responses that go far beyond momentary pleasure. There's a science behind how we feel during and after it, driven by hormones, cultural conditioning, emotional safety, and vulnerability. This is where psychology steps in and opens our eyes to truths many people overlook. Let's explore 4 lesser known but deeply insightful psychological facts about oral sex, each revealing how our minds, emotions, and behaviors are intricately linked. These are not just facts pulled from headlines. They're backed by science, by human psychology studies, and by what real people report about their intimate experiences, whether you're someone who's curious, experienced, cautious, or just trying to understand your partner better. These insights will likely surprise you first. Let's talk about something most people don't realize. Oral sex can strengthen emotional bonds through neurochemical release. Any kind of intimate touch has the potential to affect us emotionally. But oral sex goes a step further. It often leads to the release of oxytocin, also known as the bonding hormone or the love chemical. Oxytocin helps promote feelings of closeness, emotional safety, and trust. It's the same hormone involved in hugging childbirth and romantic connection. So when someone gives or receives oral sex, the experience can actually enhance attachment and deepen the emotional connection, especially in longer-term relationships where trust is already built. Interestingly, studies show that couples who regularly engage in non-penetrative sexual activities like oral sex tend to report higher levels of satisfaction, emotional empathy, and communication. It's not just the act itself, it's the intentional, vulnerable, and focused attention that oral sex often requires. That attention, combined with hormonal shifts, can be a powerful bonding force. It becomes a ritual of emotional intimacy, not just physical connection. Now let's look at another revealing truth. The way someone approaches oral sex can reflect their emotional state, insecurities, or need for validation. It might be surprising, but oral sex is not always given or received from a place of comfort or confidence. For some, it's an act of generosity, a way of showing love or devotion for others. It might be a way to compensate for insecurities or to feel desirable. Then there are those who hesitate to receive it altogether, often due to discomfort, with vulnerability, concerns about body image, or deeply ingrained shame from upbringing or past trauma. Psychologically, our sexual behaviors often mirror our emotional blueprints. A person who anxiously offers pleasure might be craving approval. Another who refuses intimacy might be shielding themselves from feelings of exposure. In other words, it's not always about arousal, it can also be about what we're trying to give or protect emotionally. Understanding these deeper motives can lead to more compassionate, pressure-free communication between partners, which makes intimacy more honest and emotionally safe. This brings us to an important gender-based difference. Men and women often interpret oral sex through very different psychological lenses. For men, studies have shown that receiving oral sex is frequently interpreted as a strong sign of being wanted or admired. There's a sense of affirmation tied to it, a boost in self-esteem or ego for women. the emotional and psychological dynamics can be far more layered, while some women experience oral sex as a way to feel emotionally close. Others may carry feelings of self-consciousness, performance, anxiety, or pressure to reciprocate. This contrast can create subtle misunderstandings in relationships. One partner may see it as a simple expression of desire, while the other sees it as an emotionally loaded act, filled with implications about trust, safety or body image. Cultural, religious, and educational influences play a huge role here. People raised in environments that avoid open discussions of sexuality often internalize discomfort or shame around their bodies. These emotional frameworks don't just disappear, they shape how we respond to touch and how vulnerable we're willing to be. That's why open, shame-free conversation is so important. It bridges the gap between assumptions and reality, between intention and perception. Finally, here's one that might surprise you. Oral sex can have short-term mental health benefits, even on a biochemical level. Believe it or not, semen contains naturally occurring compounds such as dopamine, serotonin, and melatonin chemicals that play key roles in regulating mood, sleep, and emotional stability. While this doesn't mean oral sex is a replacement for mental health treatment or therapy, it does suggest that sexual intimacy, especially in trusted, emotionally safe relationships, can temporarily boost mood or reduce anxiety. This is not pseudoscience. Some small studies have explored the idea that exposure to these compounds through oral contact may produce slight positive psychological effects. Again, the emphasis is on context. Trust, consent, and safety must be present without emotional comfort. The act can have the opposite effect, leading to increased anxiety or regret. But in secure relationships, this chemical exchange can contribute to a temporary lift in emotional well-being, much like exercise or cuddling. All of these insights lead to one central truth. Oral sex isn't simply about physical stimulation, it's about communication, vulnerability, trust, and human psychology. When approached mindfully, it can deepen emotional bonds, reveal hidden fears, improve relational understanding, and even contribute to short-term mental health. When misunderstood or forced into silence, it can become a source of confusion or emotional distance. That's why it's so important to shift the conversation away from shame and secrecy and toward honesty and emotional awareness. Understanding the psychological facts of human behavior, especially in intimate settings, helps us build healthier, more emotionally intelligent relationships. It's not about technique, it's about emotional safety, self-awareness, and mutual respect. These are the cornerstones of intimacy that lasts. So whether you're exploring intimacy with a long-term partner, navigating new relationships, or simply trying to better understand yourself, remember that what happens behind closed doors reflects more than just desire. It reflects identity, confidence, emotional history, and the human need to be seen, valued, and loved. When we begin to look at human psychology behavior in this way, especially through the lens of sexuality and connection, we open ourselves to deeper empathy and self-acceptance. These psychological facts aren't meant to shock you. They're meant to empower you, to help you feel less alone, and to remind you that our emotional responses, even in the most private moments, are valid, human, and worthy of understanding. And